So, how's everybody doing today?
Good.
Hope you're
Amazing.
having a good Saturday. Juan is amazing, of course, always is. Appreciate you all coming out. Just want to say thanks to all the organizers. Pierce, so you're going to find out shortly here. I'm part of Red Team Village. Pierce is the village lead who's been doing a great job, so I want to say thanks to him. I want to say thanks to Huxley, who's the lead organizer here, for all the work they do. There's a lot of time and effort and energy that goes into putting on a B-Sides. So just want to say thanks for everyone for showing up. Thanks to the organizers for putting this on and making it happen. So we're a few minutes early, so this is just me killing a few minutes, but I think we'll get going. For those of you that don't know me, my name is Cory Wolff. I am the Director of Offensive Security at a cybersecurity consulting firm called Risk 360. We're based just outside of Atlanta, technically Roswell, Georgia, but we're based in Atlanta. I'm Director of OffSec there. My team does all the red teaming, penetration testing. We also have a threat intelligence team that works under my division. You're good. Yeah, so I should have, this is actually the boring stuff of me just telling you who I am, so this is good. Yeah, Director of OffSec, Risk 360, based in Atlanta. I'm also part of the core team of Red Team Village, which I mentioned just a few minutes ago. If you're not familiar with Red Team Village, we got our start at DEF CON. We've been at DEF CON now, I think the first year was 2016. I'm part of the core team there. I've been a part of that for the past 4 or 5 years. I'm the Director of Workshops and Training, so if you've ever submitted a talk or a workshop, I shouldn't say talk, actually a tactic or a workshop at Red Team Village, it's been myself and my team that's gone through those and put the scheduling together. We don't do talks at the Village, we just do tactics, which are hands-on activities that you can do yourself, and then workshops, which are hands-on activities led by an instructor. So if you've seen the title, today we're going to talk through 2 leaks, one from Blackbasta, one from Lockb. All the data that I'm going to talk about today you can view for yourself. This is public information. Well, we released it publicly so that you can go ahead and browse through this data yourself. We thought this was a good move because it's interesting for different researchers and different people to be able to go and see what this data looks like, what the threat actors are doing, and hopefully you can gain some of your own insights from it. Today we will talk through some of them, and I'm going to call out a couple of interesting things that we saw. So, what happened? So, we got a pretty interesting look this year into some internal workings of 2 ransomware crews, Blackbasta and Lockb. This is rare because most of the threat intelligence that we have around these threat actors is typically based on, intelligence, like, government intelligence reports, whether one of these threat actors is indicted or whatever it might be. We get information that way. The other way that we get information about these groups is when they just go on and brag, which they do a lot of, but when they go and they brag and X or Telegram channels or wherever it might be, but they brag publicly. But this year was very interesting because there were 2 big leaks. Now in 2023, there was a ransomware crew named Conti, who in 2022 did approximately $200 million. They brought in about $200 million in 2022. And then in 2023, their internal group chat leaks, the chat messages were leaked. They disbanded. And they actually most of them went on to form Blackbasta, who we're going to talk about today. But it's a pretty big business, and the last time that we saw leaks of this magnitude was about 2023 with the Conti leaks. So what happened? So in February of this year, a Telegram user with the name Exploit Whispers went onto a Telegram channel and shared over 200,000 Matrix chat messages related to Blackbasta internal communications. If you're not familiar with Matrix, you can think of like Mastodon, for example. You host your own server, you can have chats and that kind of thing. That's basically what Matrix is. We saw a lot of threat actors move to Matrix over the past few years, but what happened was that all of the messages, the internal messages, so their Slack group. Now, you got to keep in mind, a lot of these groups are 50, 100 people, 150 people. They're big, right? They're bigger than most small businesses. Again, going back to Conti, $200 million in revenue, we'll call it revenue, in 2022. They were a group of about 150 people, right? And so this Matrix server was essentially, for all intents and purposes, their Slack channel, their Slack server, right? That's what it was. Now, this user just kind of came out of nowhere and said, hey, here's 200,000 messages. They had claimed that Blackbasta had crossed the line by attacking Russian banks. So if you're not familiar with this ecosystem, most of these ransomware crews are based in Russia. Most of them operate with immunity as far as Russia goes, with the caveat of don't touch Russian entities. And so they don't, right? They primarily target U.S., European organizations. And of course, nothing happens because they're based in Russia. Russia doesn't press charges. They went after some Russian banks, and exploit whispers claimed that this was payback. Basically, you messed up, we're going to release everything. Same thing happened. So with Conti, 2023, their chat messages were leaked. They disbanded. Most of them went on to claim to create Blackbasta. In 2025, Blackbasta's chats were leaked, and they disbanded. Blackbasta hasn't been active in a while. The people that were part of Blackbasta, I'm sure, are, but the group itself hasn't been active since May, I think. So that's the first part of what happened. We don't get a lot of this intelligence, but this spring we got about 200,000 internal messages from Blackbasta. The second thing that happened this year, in May, Lockb. So Lockb has tons of sites. There's their blog where they release data. They talk about their victims. There's their admin panels. There's all kinds of different stuff. There's just straight websites that just host data. And then there's affiliate panels. So again, for those of you that are not familiar, the way that ransomware as a service works is that there's a crew. In this case, we're talking about Lockb. They create a platform to where anyone can sign up to be an affiliate and use their infrastructure, use Lockb's infrastructure, use their encryptors, use all their stuff to basically be a ransomware threat actor in ransom organizations. Conti, again, $200 million in revenue roughly in 2022. About half of that revenue came from ransomware as a service, so them not actually performing the attacks, but instead providing the infrastructure to do so. In May, Lockbit's affiliate site was defaced, and a link was included that went to an SQL dump of the database of this affiliate site. So this included all kinds of good stuff. But it was, at the end of the day, what it was is some threat actor had gained access to Lockbit's affiliate site, defaced it, dumped the database, and included a link to do it. This was actually the second time, so if I'm not sure how well you can see that, but the message just says, don't do crime, crime is bad, XOXO from Prague. Interestingly enough, another ransomware crew's website was defaced a few months before with the same exact message, crime is bad. However, in that case, a link was not included to any sort of data related to the threat actor. With Lockb, it was. So this database included quite a bit of information. It included a table on Bitcoin addresses, roughly 60,000 Bitcoin addresses related to affiliates. That's a lot. So there were, the way Lockb is generally a little bit more advanced. So Lockb was one of the first ransomware crews, might have been the first ransomware crew to actually have a Linux encryptor. So most ransomware is done in Active Directory environments. It's Windows based. Lockb was one of the first to do it. to do it for Linux. But if you sign up to be an affiliate with Lockb, you'd go into your account and say you gained access to a victim. You'd go into your Lockb account and you do a new build for that specific victim. And there's different information tied to that build, victim name, of course. But one of those other things that would happen is it would spin up a new Bitcoin address, and then it would spin up anywhere from 10 to 20 additional addresses for cleaning the Bitcoin, for basically to put into a Bitcoin tumbler. So there's 60,000 Bitcoin addresses. A lot of them don't have anything in them. A couple of them did, but at the end of the day, they were tracking about 60,000 of them. There was over 4,000 chats related to negotiation messages. So when an organization actually gets that you've been ransomware message, it's game over. They've exfilled data. They've already done everything. There's nothing you can do. But that, hey, you've been ransomware, go to this site, which basically includes it's a chat portal for the victim to go and negotiate with the ransomware actor. This database had about 4,000 of those messages between victims and Lockb themselves, talking through negotiations. There were about 75 affiliate and admin accounts. There were some plain text passwords in there, but there were about 75 affiliates. Builds and build configurations. So this is the one where, again, if you had a new victim or you had gained access to a victim and you were ready to perform ransomware in that network, you would go into the affiliate panel, you would do a new build. It would spit out, depending on what you were doing, maybe a .NET assembly or an executable or whatever it is. It would spit that out. These tables contained all the information related to those builds. So, lots of good threat intelligence this year. Lockb and the federal government, specifically the FBI, if you're not familiar, have been going, they went back and forth January to March, April or so. They were going back and forth to where the gentleman's name is Lockb Sup, is the leader of the Lockb ransomware crew. He was doxxed by the federal government. They put out his real identity. They put out pictures of him. They said he loves going to, I forget where, Starbucks or whatever. But they show that basically they know, they knew who he was. They knew where he liked to frequent, what he did, all this kind of stuff. And he took that FBI wanted poster and put it on a T-shirt. So there's a couple Twitter posts out there. Point being is Lockb and a lot of intelligence agencies, but primarily the FBI, went back and forth for months until Lockb was actually taken down in a joint operation. A lot of their infrastructure was taken down, I think, in May of this year. They came back again. Then their affiliate site was defaced. They've been gone for a little bit. And actually just last week I saw that Lockb, Quillen, and one other ransomware crew, the name is escaping me right now, but they basically have created a group that will share infrastructure, you name it. They're basically just like an industry trade group working together. Quillen is a Chinese ransomware actor, which is interesting to see the actual Chinese ransomware crews and a Russian ransomware crew, work together in a somewhat formal fashion. But that's what happened. We got a lot of good intelligence out of this. So what we're going to talk about today for the next, looks like 15 minutes or so, is some facts and findings about through this data, what actually happened, some insights that myself and my team got from this data, and what it looks like today. So fact number one, it's incredibly easy to get started. So I mentioned if you're an affiliate, you can go and sign up. Lockb is not the only crew to do this. The screenshot that you're looking at now is from their most recent Lockb 5.0 campaign, to where they came back again for a fifth time. But in this screenshot, this is directly from their dark website, to where it basically says, send us $777, I think. Yeah, $777. Once we receive payment, you will get an account, and you too can be a ransomware actor. it's incredibly easy to get started. So, if I wanted to be a ransomware actor tomorrow, I could do it. I'm not going to, but where's the camera? I'm not going to, but I could. It's incredibly easy. And this goes for any ransomware as a service threat actor. It's extremely easy. They also do their research. So, like I mentioned before, the data from Blackbasta and Lockb is available for you to go look. But if we go and do a quick search of these Blackbasta chats, there's basically, you probably can't see it too well, but there's 776 results in those Blackbasta chats related to Zoom info. So does everybody know what Zoom info is? Basically gives you information on companies, their revenue, their employee count. You can see org structures. It's pretty creepy, but you can basically see everything about a company. And so they're clearly doing their research. When they ransom an organization and they say, we want $10 million, they're not just making that number up, right? They are doing their research. They're saying, okay, this company does X amount of dollars in revenue every year. It's very clear. I mentioned before that by the time that you see that message that your infrastructure has been ransomware, it's too late. One of the things that they do before they actually deploy the ransomware is exfiltrate data. So they'll pull all the information and data that they can. Oftentimes that includes financial information, so they know how much your cyber insurance policy is going to pay out. They know how much actual revenue you did. They know everything. And so they're clearly doing their research. And Zoom info is a pretty big piece of that and one of their favorite things to look at because, it's a business. Whether you like it or not, it's a business. This one, not necessarily trying to stir up the whole, security research debate, but the fact of the matter is that we are doing a lot of the work for them. They read blogs. They are doing the pen tester path on Hack-the-Box. They are going for their OSCP. It's not a joke. I mean, they're paying attention to what we're doing. When we come up with some new technique and it's a viable technique, it's used in the wild very quickly. In this screenshot, you're seeing them talk about something called sharpshares.exe, which is a .NET assembly for, you guessed it, enumerating network SMB shares. They're using tools. The sharpshares was made for penetration testing. In this one, they're talking about, this is a specific message of how to perform device code phishing with a tool set known as Road Tools. My team uses it all the time. It provides all kinds of different functionality with Azure and Entra. My team uses it all the time. This is an internal message from a ransomware crew saying, this is how you perform device code phishing. You can use this tool to do everything, right? So they're paying attention to us. They're learning just like anyone here who's trying to get into pen testing, for example, and you're looking to try Hack Me, Hack-the-Box, you're reading all these blogs, you're looking at all these YouTube channels, they're doing the exact same thing. Because, for them, it's a job, right? It's their version of pen testing, except in Russia. Findings. So one thing that I thought was very interesting was I mentioned that there were 4,000 negotiation messages in the Lockb data. And one of them, the thing that you absolutely do not do is ransom a Russian entity. Lockb did by accident. So again, these are affiliates, remember? It's not always, Lockb proper. But what had happened is, if you look at some of these messages, what you see them talking about is, you see this right screenshot? More than an hour has passed without a response. What's the status of the issue? We need the decryption tool to proceed. Now that's pretty straightforward for a victim to be talking to. That's a message from the victim to Lockb. You never see victims talk like that, all right? The other thing to call out is that these are actually translated. So most of these messages from victims come in English. These ones were not. These were in Russian. So it was a Russian language message that came in with a pretty stern, hey, we've been waiting an hour. Where are you? And clearly, if you see that in there, you have emphasized the importance of reputation, and we believe you will uphold your commitment. The company's IT services are currently down, and we need to restore operations as soon as possible. I mean, of course, everyone knows that, but for a victim to be saying this to the crew, that's you don't see that in Russian language, mind you. If you continue through the messages here, you'll see Lockb Sup himself. I hope everyone's over 18 here, right? I am boss Lockb. Only me can decrypt your files. Wait, please. And then you basically see it says advert. Are you targeted encrypted? Basically, you target a Russian entity. And you can see at the very last message there, he's basically explaining Lockb Sup, who's pretty tough to the FBI, but not so tough to Russian entities, basically saying, hey, sorry, this was an accident. I'll decrypt it for you. I mentioned that there's that builds table as well, which if you go in and you're ready to perform new ransomware, you go into the affiliate panel, you do a build, blah, blah, blah. You can actually correlate these chat messages to the builds and see who they're talking about. And in fact, who they're talking about in this situation was this website, which happened to be a Russian entity responsible for roads and bridges, I believe. Specialized trust for the construction of bridges and embankments. So they accidentally performed ransomware on this Moscow-based government entity. So Lockb Sup, the leader of Lockb, never goes into these negotiation messages. It's always some customer service rep, for lack of a better term, that's handling this. And in fact, if you look through the data, you'll even see in these conversations when the victim says, hey, can you give me the decryption key? The person at Lockb is saying, yeah, tech team isn't online right now. I'll get back to you tomorrow. It's literally like customer service department. So imagine you have an issue with customer support at Walmart and you're chatting to an online agent and the CEO of Walmart comes in and is like, hey, sorry, my bad. It's all right, we'll get you back. Don't worry about it. That's essentially what happened here. It was a pretty big mess up, and he knew that it was an issue, and so he did everything he could as quickly as possible to remediate it. Last one here. So if you're familiar with the Ascension Health ransomware incident, it was a really bad incident. And it was carried out by Blackbasta. They started to talk about Ascension Health in March of 2023. So if we go again and look through these chat messages, you'll see some in there. You'll see in this one particular message, which there's a screenshot of, you'll see that they have a whole list of Ascension Health emails. They didn't do anything at that time. They were still kind of just figuring out what it was and what they're going to do. Excuse me. And then in May of 2024, they were attacked and ransomed. So, they, for a full year, they might have actually started the attack, but for a full year, they had information on Ascension Health. They were paying attention to Ascension Health. If they came across anything on the greater internet or access to Ascension Health, they would hop on it. But the point is that they didn't just say, okay, let's go after Ascension Health, and then the next day they ransomware them, right? They didn't. They were paying attention at least for a year, maybe longer, who knows. So that's it in a nutshell. There's a lot more information here. This is just a quick overview of what kind of information is in there. Again, you can view this for yourself if it's something that you're interested in checking out. This is available for download, for searching, all that kind of good stuff. And that's all I got. Two minutes early. Yeah, what's up?
Is there any tiering system associated with the affiliates? You mentioned Ascension being a significant attack with a year's worth of research. Is there silver, gold, platinum tiers of affiliates?
In some cases, it's not formalized.
Okay.
At least I haven't. I mean, it might be. I haven't seen it formalized, but it usually has to do with the percentage cut of the ransom, because it depends on how much you get. Like a lot of times, it'll be like typically it's 20 to 30% of where, like in this case, Lockb would get 20 to 30% of the overall ransom, and the affiliate would get the rest.
Okay.
Change Healthcare, that's not what happened. Change Healthcare paid $22 million. Alf V took the money and ran and said sorry. And then Black Hat came back and said, nope, you paid them, you didn't pay us. You need to pay us again. And then Change Healthcare paid again. Anyways, that's beside the point. Not to my knowledge, but they usually just get a better cut.
It's implied that there's some sort of structure, but not formalized.
Not that I'm aware of. I mean, there might be, but I don't know.
I'm surprised the Russian victim actually worked. Do you have any thoughts about why that actually worked on those, like keyboard detection, language detection?
Great question. My thought is that they probably don't even check, because it's like, if you're about to deploy ransomware, you're in a Russian entity. So like you're not like, why even check? I mean, they do that with like malware, like malvertising stuff and all that. Yeah, but that's a good point. My guess is they probably don't even bother, because they're like, well, why are you even going to be running this in a Russian entity? So.
I can see that there are a few more questions, but we have a hard stop. So what I'm going to do is shut down the PowerPoint, but if you are available for questions after, you can just line up maybe on the side here and have conversations on that.
Sounds good. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, everyone.